Let me ask you something real. When was the last time you showed up for yourself? Not to impress anyone, not to fit in, not to gain validation, just for you. Most people wake up each day trying to meet expectations that were never theirs to begin with. Performing for a world that claps for surface-level success while ignoring the cost it takes to achieve real growth. But what if the most powerful thing you could ever do was simply turn inward? Not from pride, not from selfishness, but from pure, grounded self-respect. And they might not understand your silence. They might question your distance. Let them. While they talk, you build. While they laugh, you evolve. And eventually, they'll look up in disbelief at the version of you they never saw coming. Because you were never trying to impress them. You were busy becoming who you were meant to be. You owe it to yourself to stop performing for people who wouldn't notice your worth until it's undeniable. You owe it to yourself to become the kind of person your past self could barely imagine. So decide, really decide, that from this moment forward, your focus is sacred. No more half-hearted promises. No more waiting for the right time. You don't need to announce your goals to the world. You don't need to justify your journey or explain your silence. True transformation doesn't need a spotlight, because the minute you choose growth, the noise around you starts to fade, and in that quiet, your soul finally gets a chance to speak. You begin to hear what actually matters. You realize that every time you stop explaining yourself to those who were never listening, you regain the energy to create something that truly matters, yourself. It's rarely the loudest person in the room who makes the biggest impact. It's the one no one saw coming. The one who worked in silence, healed without attention, sharpened their discipline in the dark. That's the person who rises. That's the one who changes the game. So stop craving approval. Approval is a cage dressed up as support. Once you start chasing it, you trade your purpose for applause. You start sharing your progress for attention instead of doing the work for yourself. And that's when people begin to lose their way. You don't need an audience. You need focus. You don't need to be seen. You need to be consistent. And when your focus becomes non-negotiable, your actions get sharper, your energy gets stronger, and your progress becomes undeniable. Let others perform for attention. Let them chase likes, validation, praise. You're building something bigger. And one day, when the results speak for themselves, the same people who overlooked you will wonder where you came from, but you'll know it didn't happen overnight. It came from the quiet nights, the lonely hours, the invisible effort, and the uncelebrated wins. People stop checking in when you go quiet because they assume you've disappeared. But silence isn't the end. It's where the real work begins. It's where the roots grow deep, where no storm can shake what you've built. So let them doubt you. Let them talk. Let them scroll past while you sharpen yourself into something unshakable. You're not here to prove anything anymore. The ego is gone. The need to be understood is gone. All that's left is the work. And the work doesn't lie. The results don't lie. That strength, that discipline, that transformation, they weren't built for attention. They were born in silence, out of respect for your future. And that's where your power lives now, not in being seen, in becoming undeniable. Every time you felt like giving up but kept going, you were adding another page to your comeback story. And when the moment finally arrives for the world to witness who you've become, you won't have to say a single word. Your presence will speak volumes, your results will shout, and your silence will carry more weight than any speech ever could. People will always have something to say. They'll question you, ignore you, even try to tear you down. But silence strips them of their power. The moment you stop reacting to every insult, rumor, and dig thrown your way, you begin to take control. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment needs an answer. Not every person is worthy of your energy. Some people speak just to fill the void, terrified of what they might hear if they ever sat quietly with themselves. But you've learned to lean into the quiet. You don't run from it. You sharpen in it. You're not wasting time on drama or proving your worth. While they scramble to be seen, you're becoming unforgettable. And the day will come when even those who dismissed you will have no choice but to recognize what you've built. Not because you convinced them, not because you demanded recognition, but because your life will speak for itself. You'll be undeniable, not through noise, but through the undeniable truth of your progress. Ever notice how the most powerful people in the room are often the quietest? That's not by accident. It's because they don't need to prove anything. They move with certainty. They walk with presence. And that's where real strength is born, not from volume, but from confidence. You don't have to warn anyone about what's coming. You don't owe explanations to those who've already made their judgments. Let them misread you. Let them count you out. Every time they do, they give you more fuel. This world is addicted to noise but doesn't respect it. What it respects is transformation, discipline, quiet, steady evolution. The kind that doesn't beg for applause, the kind that doesn't need attention, just vision, just hunger, just you, locked in, focused on the climb. And the day you stop talking and start executing with everything you've got, everything begins to shift. You stop caring what they think because your life becomes the response. Every win tells part of the story. Every breakthrough writes a new paragraph. And when it's all said and done, your journey becomes a book that leaves everyone silent. They'll never fully understand the depth of what you've endured. The nights you sat in the dark, questioning everything. The mornings you dragged yourself up when everything inside screamed for rest. The moments you kept going with nothing but faith to hold on to. That's what makes your silence powerful. It carries the truth of your struggle. It carries your pain, your resilience, your fire. You didn't land here by luck. You were forged in difficulty, shaped by the storms. And everything you built in those quiet, invisible battles gave you a strength they'll never be able to measure. So when the time comes and they finally see what you've created, it might shock them. But it won't shock you. You'll know exactly how many times you were tempted to quit but didn't. You'll remember being overlooked, counted out, talked about, and yet you kept moving. You kept building. And in that silence, you created something no one could ignore, a legacy. So stay quiet, stay sharp. The noise will never stop. But you've evolved beyond the need to respond. Your only answer now is action. Your only reply is transformation. You're not here to argue or explain. You're here to evolve. Every day you choose silence and consistency, you're laying another brick. You're building something unshakable. And eventually, those who doubted you will be forced to face the truth of what you've become. They'll ask how you did it, where it came from, and you won't have to say a thing. Your life will be the proof. Your results will be the answer. And your silence will echo as the loudest sound in the room. Because in a world built to hijack your attention with pings, alerts, endless distractions, your greatest power is the ability to focus, to return to yourself, to protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. And the most unstoppable version of you, that version is born in the quiet. Distraction is the quiet thief that wears the mask of comfort and entertainment. It lures you in with promises of escape, while slowly stealing your potential. You can't rise to your greatest self if you're always chasing the next shiny thing, the next dopamine hit, the next excuse to avoid your purpose. Discipline is your shield. It's the fortress that keeps you steady while the world spins in chaos around you. To quiet the noise, you don't need to be harsh with others. You need to be uncompromising with yourself. You have to draw the line and declare that your time, your energy, your purpose matter too much to be wasted. Because every time you let distraction take control, you're giving your power away to a world that has no stake in your success. It's time to lock in, time to say no to what doesn't align. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's a statement. A bold declaration that you are done settling for less than your potential. People misunderstand it. They think discipline means saying goodbye to joy, but that's the lie. Real discipline is freedom. Freedom from chaos, freedom from regret. It's the kind of freedom that allows you to choose your actions instead of being ruled by impulses. When you live with discipline, You decide what fills your day. You choose the content you consume, the voices you listen to, the people you allow near your dreams. Every choice is either building the foundation of your future or slowly cracking it apart. Distraction is the crack. Discipline is the cornerstone. You have to take an honest look at your day and ask the hard questions. How much time did I waste scrolling? How many hours did I spend watching others instead of building something for myself? These moments seem small, but they multiply. And if you don't take charge of them, they'll quietly take charge of you. The way to silence the noise is to know what you're building, then protect it like your life depends on it. Because in a way, it does. Focus is your weapon. It's the ability to cut through the clutter and fix your vision on what really matters. You don't scatter your attention like buckshot. You aim like a sniper. You breathe, you steady yourself, and you lock in on the target that moves you forward. That kind of precision requires boundaries. With your time, with your habits, with your mind. It means putting the phone down, closing the extra tabs, walking away from distractions, even when they feel comfortable, especially when they feel comfortable, because comfort rarely produces growth. Growth comes when you choose to stay locked in, when you do the work even when no one is watching, when you say no even when it's tempting to say yes. Distraction leaves you busy but empty. Discipline leaves you purposeful and full. The louder the world becomes, the more essential it is to quiet your own mind, to turn inward, to listen to that still voice inside that always knows your next right move. There will always be people pulling at your attention, inviting you into gossip, into arguments, into chaos. If you don't stand firm, you'll get swept into storms that were never yours to begin with. Discipline is peace. It's saying no to conflict that doesn't serve you. It's showing up for your mission day after day, unaffected by what's swirling around you. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent, about building something so solid that when the storm comes, you're not shaken. You keep walking, you keep working, and eventually you learn how to move through the storm without ever losing sight of your light. The distractions won't disappear, but they'll lose their grip. You'll create your own rhythm. You'll stay in your lane. And when those old temptations come knocking, you simply won't answer because you'll be too busy building something real. Your success won't be a fluke. It will be the result of focused choices, daily decisions, a mind trained to stay the course, and a heart that refuses to settle. Discipline isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you forge, day by day, moment by moment. It's the alarm you get up for when you want to sleep, the reps you push through when you'd rather quit, the work you do now that creates the freedom you'll feel later. And the best part? Every small act of discipline compounds, quietly, powerfully, until one day the world looks up and realizes you didn't just change, you transformed. Not by chance, but by choice. Every single day, every time you turn down a distraction, you're saying yes to your future. Every time you push through the urge to stop, you're building strength. Discipline becomes a muscle, and with every choice, it grows more powerful, more reliable. That strength will take you further than talent ever could, further than luck, further than waiting on the perfect opportunity. Because while others are drifting, chasing comfort or quick fixes, you're gaining ground, quietly, relentlessly. Discipline isn't just about blocking out the noise. It's about becoming the force that rises above it. The world may be loud, but you're louder in your focus. Doubt fades in the face of consistent action. Fear weakens when met with daily effort. Distraction loses its grip when you choose to stay locked in. The truth is, the world doesn't reward the easily distracted. It doesn't hand success to the inconsistent. It responds to those who show up again and again, regardless of mood or motivation. If you want to surprise the world, stop chasing its distractions. Start chasing your vision with tunnel vision. Cut out the static. Not just the notifications and the endless scrolling, but the deeper noise, the mental clutter, the emotional weight, the voices of comparison and self-doubt. Silence the inner critic that keeps replaying old fears. Step away from the relationships that leave you drained. Let go of habits that waste your time and numb your progress. Your purpose is too important to be drowned out by nonsense. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often one simple choice: discipline over distraction. It's the decision to protect your time, your energy, your peace, like they're sacred, because they are. Start small. Say no when it's easier to say yes. Turn off your phone and tune into your priorities. Walk away from the arguments that offer no value. Focus on the few things that move the needle, that only you can do. Every moment you reclaim from distraction is a brick laid in the foundation of a life you can be proud of. Keep doing this, day after day, week after week. Let the compound effect work its magic. You don't need to announce your progress. You don't need permission. Let your results speak. They always do. Discipline will carry you through storms, through doubt, through long seasons when nothing feels like it's working, until it does. You'll look back and realize that the world didn't change. You did, quietly, powerfully. And then there's healing. Not the kind made for posts and applause, the real kind. The kind that happens in silence, away from the performance. Healing is not a show. It's a sacred process that takes place in the hidden corners of your heart, far from the noise of judgment and expectation. When you allow yourself to heal in private, you create space to truly feel, to release, to grow without pressure. You stop rushing your recovery for anyone else's comfort. You let the pain move through you, breathe, and finally settle. That's self-respect. In a world where everyone is sharing everything, keeping your healing to yourself is a radical act of strength. It says, I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to rebuild me. When you protect that space, you shield your transformation from the opinions that could derail it. You build a quiet sanctuary where resilience is formed and strength begins to take shape. You don't need to make noise to prove your healing. When it's real, it shows. Growth is the same. It's not loud, it's not flashy. It's the slow, patient climb that no one sees but you. It happens in the background, in the discipline, in the days when no one is watching. And that's what makes it real. When you grow in silence, you avoid the trap of proving yourself too soon. You stay committed to the process. You don't rush to declare change. You let change speak for itself. True growth is humble. It's patient. It's rooted in deep work that doesn't need applause. You learn to trust what's invisible. You don't need validation because you know the truth of your effort. And when the moment comes, when your results begin to unfold, you won't need to explain anything. You'll move like a quiet storm, steady, certain, and undeniable. Healing and growing in silence doesn't mean you're isolated. It means you're intentional. You choose your space. You protect your peace. You allow only those near you who honor your journey, even if they don't fully understand it. You step away from chaos and surround yourself with calm. You don't chase approval. You chase peace. You chase purpose. And when the time is right, the world will see what you've become, not because you told them to look, but because your life will make it impossible not to. Healing in private is an act of deep self-love. It requires boundaries. It means protecting your peace by turning down conversations that reopen wounds and choosing instead to engage in moments that nourish your soul. It's about taking space to reflect, to journal, to sit in stillness, to simply be, without noise, without judgment. When you allow yourself to grow quietly, you begin building something unshakable. You lay the groundwork for strength rooted in self-awareness, and that foundation becomes your anchor in the storms of life. You may appear silent on the surface, but within, you're constructing a fortress. And that silence, that's where your power is born. Because when you keep the details of your journey close, you protect the sacredness of your transformation. You don't need to explain your wounds. You don't need to narrate your progress. The world might ask for a story, a status, a performance, but you stay grounded. Healing is not a show, it is your private triumph. The mystery around your growth commands a quiet kind of respect. It causes others to notice the shift in your presence without needing an explanation. The more you protect your progress, the less access people have to misinterpret it. You stay in control, not by defending your path, but by letting your transformation speak on its own. That's what makes your silence powerful. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You just keep rising. Private growth isn't always easy. There are moments when the silence feels heavy, when the solitude stings, when you wish someone could truly understand. But those moments forge resilience. They teach you to comfort yourself, to cheer yourself on, to hold your own hand through the hard days. That's real strength. Not escaping the pain, but sitting with it. Not rushing to be seen, but choosing to understand yourself first. Over time, that silence becomes something sacred. It stops being a space of isolation and becomes a source of clarity and calm. You start to see your scars differently, not as signs of damage, but as proof that you've endured, that you've learned, that you've grown. And because your healing wasn't for show, your comeback becomes unstoppable. You don't just return, you rise with grace, with strength, with quiet authority. Healing in silence also teaches patience. The world around you craves instant results, but you learn to value the slow, intentional process. You begin to trust the pace of your own journey. You stop comparing. You stop performing. You understand that growth isn't about speed. It's about depth. And with every quiet step, every private breakthrough, you build something lasting. You learn to celebrate the wins no one sees. The moments when you choose forgiveness over anger, peace over chaos, hope over bitterness. These small, invisible victories begin to stack. And eventually, they form a transformation so powerful that even those who only saw the surface are left speechless. Healing in private is a gift you give yourself. It frees you from the pressure to explain. It gives you the room to become who you were always meant to be, on your terms. You take back the pen. You write your story one quiet page at a time. No noise, no distractions, just you, becoming. That's the power of growing in silence. You don't need to convince anyone of your progress. They feel it when you walk into the room. They see it in your energy. They hear it in the calm confidence of your presence. You become a living reminder that real strength doesn't shout, it radiates. The world is loud, restless, and full of opinions. But your soul moves differently. It's focused, centered, relentless in its pursuit of peace and purpose. Healing quietly is not just a phase, it's a lifestyle. It's how you rise above the noise. It's how you step into the highest version of yourself without ever having to ask for permission. Because in the end, the fiercest competition was never out there. It was always within. The real battle is between who you've been and who you're becoming.